We were certainly fortunate that this accident happened as the aircraft was climbing out of Portland and had not reached higher than 16,000 feet, which is less than half the typical altitude an aircraft of this type would typically cruise at once it's well underway in its flight. Had it been higher and the same structural separation had happened, the decompression would have been much more forceful, and quite probably passengers would have been sucked out of the aircraft. It would have been also much more difficult for the pilots to maintain control of the aircraft, given the suddenness of such an eventuality.
Now, the National Transportation Safety Board says that it mentioned pressurization warnings on 3 flights in the month preceding this incident. Why wasn't that noted or anything done about it?
It's difficult to comment on the fact that there were some pressurization warnings. They were actually recorded by flight crew of Alaska Airlines and reported to the airline. We do know that the airline took that aircraft off long over water flights without knowing precisely what the reason for the pressurization warning indication was. It said that they believed that way the aircraft would be able to come back more quickly if there was any problem. It's fair to say they obviously didn't imagine the problem was going to be this serious, but we have to wait for the investigation to see if any more commentary is made on that, whether anything else could have been done at that point or should have been done in terms of engineering and inspection of the aircraft and all aspects of the pressurization system.
This is not the first accident to befall Boeing of this kind, though, is it?
Boeing did have a very challenging period. The aircraft, the 737 MAX, though a different version, the 737 MAX 8 of the same family, was grounded for 18 months from early 2019 following 2 fatal crashes of 737 MAX 8 aircraft. The root cause of those 2 crashes was software, faulty software in the flight deck of the aircraft as used by pilots as part of the control process. A lot of rectification work was inevitably done to ensure that when that aircraft came back to service, it could do so safely. There was a lot of reputation rebuilding for Boeing itself and restoration of confidence and trust. This is a slightly different model. The issue we see, without knowing all the details of what the causal factors were, was different. But certainly Boeing will be very mindful of needing to protect its regained reputation and trust and not to go back down that path again.
The charge against Boeing from its critics is that, you will know well, it faces widespread accusations of putting profits above the safety of passengers. Is it?
There's certainly been a variety of views expressed in the industry. The CEO at the time of the 2 fatal crashes and the grounding lost his job. The current CEO has been at pains to stress the safety culture of the business, but it is a big organization. It's also fair to say that coming out of COVID and coming out of the grounding of this type of aircraft family, they have faced challenges in ramping up production. There have been supply chain issues in the industry as a whole, but that is not in any way a justification for a relapse in performance or any degradation of quality. Safety has to be paramount.
Well, if they're getting on top of it, it can't be terribly comforting for people who nearly face being sucked out of an aircraft window.
Certainly it was a shocking experience for all on board to go through. We should never expect such an eventuality to happen to an aircraft. Rarely we have had similar occurrences, but it should never happen on a well-maintained aircraft in commercial service, and particularly the case when this aircraft was practically brand new. This was only a 2-month-old aircraft, fresh off the production line.